From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
The biggest shopping impact for Arizona businesses may still be weeks away. We break down the Super Bowl's economic effect on nearby businesses and what we could expect leading up to the big game. Stories of the LGBT community are being matched with preservation locations across the nation, and some are here in Arizona. We'll tell you which locations could possibly join the National Registry of Historic Places. And now that Thanksgiving is over, the White House turkeys are headed off to their new homes. And life after Washington is even better than you might think.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Lacey Darrow. Thanks for joining us. Besides these couple of days of spending, in just about 60 days, Phoenix and the surrounding cities can expect to receive an even bigger economic boost, all thanks to the Super Bowl. Reporter Carrie Osip was able to see how the local area will be benefiting from this event.
Thanks, Lacey. We are just 9 weeks away from the largest event in the nation to be hosted right here in our backyard. But besides the fun of the Super Bowl, the greater Phoenix area has more to look forward to. On a day like today, after a holiday weekend and one notorious for online spending, there's not much happening on the streets of downtown. But come February, these streets will be filled with people. And with people comes spending.
Well, I think it'll create great inertia for the market. I think we'll see a lot of dynamic interest in spending.
Chris Camacho, Executive Vice President of the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, reminds us that although many people tune in for the big game, there are also a lot of people who travel to the hosting city.
A lot of international and domestic travel to Phoenix. It's a great time of year to be in Arizona, being that it's February.
Another hope is that the great weather will bring business that stays.
We're going to be bringing in 50 CEOs from across the country and even around the world to come visit Arizona and look at business opportunities here.
Wendy Kelman, a distributor for a bar that's been here since 1973, appreciates that the Super Bowl is bringing business downtown.
We're lucky the city got the Super Bowl, so it's a good thing for us and for everybody. And I hope, people come, they participate, and they enjoy.
With the Cardinals fans hopeful for a playoff berth and maybe even a chance to play in their own Super Bowl, there is an importance to maintain a fan base.
I think as we build on the last couple years of success, it'll be imperative that we continue to build future generations of fans.
Fans that not only cheer on their home team, but also help support the local businesses that surround our sports teams. Arizona fans can only hope that their Cardinals maintain their NFC West lead to ensure a spot in the playoffs. Because who knows, they may be the first team to ever host their own Super Bowl. Now that is a little more exciting than money. Live in downtown Phoenix, I'm Carrie Osep, Cronkite News.
You might not have made it out for Black Friday shopping, but if you're spending Cyber Monday buying gifts for children on your list, you may want to keep safety in mind. Reporter Winnie Mancini checked in on which toys could be unsafe this holiday season.
Thanks, Lacey. According to a new report, Trouble in Toyland, dangerous and toxic toys found online or in stores are still posing a threat to young children. Toy phones and a talking Dora the Explorer bike may look like a lot of fun, but safety advocates say excessive noise, small parts, and toxic chemicals in toys like these can be dangerous to young children. Dr. Kathleen Graziano of Phoenix Children's Hospital and Jason D'Onofrio with the Arizona Public Interest Research Group say that consumers still have to be vigilant with toys.
Choking hazards remains to be the #1 serious threat posed to consumers and parents. So anything that's balloons or food-like toys, anything that has small accessories, these are all really serious hazards that parents should look out for.
In order to avoid choking hazards, D'Onofrio recommends parents measure toys with a toilet paper roll. Anything that fits inside the roll is small enough to get stuck in a child's windpipe. In the First Amendment Forum, Winnie Mancini, Cronkite News.
The start of the holiday season means the ending of another, election season. Arizona State Secretary Ken Bennett, along with other officials like Governor Jan Brewer, held the official canvass today. This is where the votes cast are officially recognized by the state, but it's also the start of a recount in Arizona's Congressional District 2. Martha McSally has been named the preliminary winner, but since the margin between McSally and Barber was just 166 votes, it is required by law to have a recount.
Hopefully we'll get an order from the Superior Court judge here in Maricopa County authorizing a recount. Then we'll begin to do things to make that recount happen.
Bennett says it should take about 2 weeks to get the final results of District 2 race. And overall, the voter turnout this year, slightly lower than the last statewide election. About 48% of registered voters casted a ballot in November, compared to about 55% in 2010. Bennett says a big factor in that slight decrease could be the fact that there wasn't a U.S. Senate race this time around. Following the jury's decision not to indict him in the shooting of Ferguson teenager Michael Brown, Officer Darren Wilson has resigned from the department. Even with news of his resignation, protests are continuing across the country. In Washington today, protesters have shut down streets, carrying signs, laying down in roadways and outside of federal buildings. Today, the president spoke about Ferguson and his plan to demilitarize police departments across the country. To improve community relations, Obama is proposing a $263 million spending package over the course of 3 years. $75 million of that will go towards more than 50,000 police body cameras. Some of the rest will be used for expanding law enforcement training and to create more resources for police department reform. The National Registry of Historic Places is considering the addition of 2 places in Arizona, but these are not your typical historical sites. Our reporter Justin McDuffie is live in Washington with more. Justin?
The National Park Service is looking for sites of historical significance to the LGBT community and is asking local communities to help share those places and stories with America.
It stems from, sort of our ongoing work to both tell the civil rights stories and to really tell everybody's story.
Those stories include people, places, and events significant to women, Latinos, Asian Pacific Islanders, and now the LGBT community.
We want to encourage communities to really participate in historic preservation. That means getting involved in identifying places that are important to them.
Earlier this year, the National Park Service kicked off its 4th theme study, this one to help identify places and events in the gay community as part of an inclusive history of America. The designated sites will join the National Registry of Historic Places.
They're locally significant, state significant, nationally significant, and it really depends on people identifying and doing the documentation.
More than 300 places have been identified as possible sites to be included, including 2 sites in southern Arizona. One is known as the Nourishing Space for Women near Mica Mountain, which served as a safe haven for the lesbian community. And the Sri Ram Ashram Ranch near Benson hosted the first Radical Fairy gathering in 1979 to merge the ideas of gay liberation and spirituality.
Also, what's interesting about that is many of them turn out to be on the National Register. It's just that the documentation had not included stories about LGBTQ people. And so some of those will be hopefully amended, right, so that the story becomes bigger and more representative and more true.
The study is nearly halfway done, but the National Park Service is still looking for more sites to be included to give the gay community that are still significant. Live in Washington, Justin McDuffie, Cronkite News.
People in northern Arizona were woken up by an earthquake. Tana Hughes spoke with a geologist about this rare event.
The earthquake struck around 10:30 p.m. last night in between Flagstaff and Sedona, and a lot of people turned to social media to see who felt what and where. People shared photos of a few rocks on the roadways, such as the one right here up on the screen, but there were no immediate reports of any injury or damage to buildings. The U.S. Geological Survey said the 4.7 magnitude quake occurred 6 miles underground. It is estimated that between 400 to 500,000 people could have felt this earthquake, anywhere from North Phoenix to Tuba City. ASU professor Ramon Aerosmith says earthquakes in Arizona happen all the time, but most go unnoticed.
We did a study a couple years ago and there was 1,000 earthquakes within 1 year, but almost all were not felt. So this is a pretty large one for that area. It's enough to get our attention. It's not so big that it really caused a huge amount of damage. There was probably some landsliding, some minor damage here and there. So it's a good reminder for people to be prepared for earthquakes.
The Arizona Department of Transportation tweeted at 4 this morning saying ADOT crews removed rocks and debris on the State Route 89A and that all roads are clear and safe to travel on. Tana Hughes, Cronkite News.
Now let's hand it off to Megan Thompson with a look at what's coming up next on Cronkite News.
Lacey, As Washington gets ready to light up the national tree, students here can expect to see their own decorations on some of its branches. We introduce you to Arizona students who created these ornaments to represent our state nationally. And now that Thanksgiving is over, these turkeys are in for another big trip to retirement. We show you where the White House turkey goes after the holiday.
Who were the people that got us from there?
A world without glass, clean drinking water, time, or light.
To here.
These were hobbyists, garage inventors, and obsessive tinkerers. These are people who actually made the modern world, who set off an amazing chain reaction of ideas.
It's the story of How We Got to Now with Stephen Johnson, coming in October, only on PBS.
Access Across Arizona allows us to travel to the 15 different counties in Arizona and find new, fresh voices and underreported stories.
It's been a great opportunity to travel to places we haven't been to before and talk to people we haven't heard from until now.
With our new technology, we're now able to deliver stories directly to you from across Arizona.
Live in Mojave County, reporting live from Prescott, live in Parker, Arizona.
Cronkite News brings you Access Across Arizona.
The spirit of the season is now all lit up in our state capitol.
3, 2, 1.
This 21-foot tall blue spruce traveled from the Coconino National Forest to its new home here in the valley. The tree is decorated with ornaments and about 20,000 lights. This event happens every year, and Governor Jan Brewer says it's something she's going to truly miss when she leaves office.
I'm a little saddened this year. This ceremony will be my last as governor. But seeing your smiling faces, hearing the sounds of such festive music, and standing in front of this magnificent tree has truly put me in the Christmas spirit.
Governor Brewer also said the lights on the tree were symbols of the men and women serving our country, hoping the light will bring them a little closer to home this holiday season. And the lighting of the national Christmas tree is set for this Thursday. And on it will be some special ornaments from right here in the valley. Reporter Jamie Warren found out how students are bringing a part of Arizona to Washington.
Inside this busy Tempe High School classroom, 25
Christmas elves
are hard at work.
I'm going to fill this whole inside with all these different beads.
Sabrina Robles is one of the many students in Russ Canizato's art class selected to help with a big project.
It's going to be exciting.
A Christmas ornament that will be displayed on the National Christmas Tree in Washington, D.C., December 4th.
It'll be about 3 by 3.5 feet when we're done with the project.
Art teacher Russ Canizato was selected to represent Arizona and create an ornament for the annual event.
It's usually one artist that's selected. It's my choice this year to add 25 of my students to the project.
The ornament will have 25 different parts, each representing a gift from Arizona.
Some of the gifts include copper, turquoise, and cotton.
Other gifts include the Saguaro cactus, Grand Canyon, and the Navajo and Hispanic culture.
I'm just real proud of my students, the work they're putting into the dedication.
And that dedication will surely light up his students' faces, along with the DC sky. In Tempe, Jamie Warren, Cronkite News.
If you're headed out to the tree lighting in DC, be sure to dress warm and bring an umbrella. There's a 50% chance of rain and temperatures will be in the 30s. Back here in Arizona, taking a look at that satellite radar, we're going to get some of that rain. This subtropical moisture is moving east and going to be here Tuesday night, bringing a chance of showers Tuesday night and Wednesday. But in Phoenix right now, it's a beautiful day out there. We have some cloud coverage and temperatures in the 70s with some light winds from the northwest at 6 miles per hour. In the valley, we're experiencing temperatures in the 70s. In Scottsdale, we have 72, Mesa 72, and in Tempe, 73. We are trending a little bit warmer than the national average today. Temperatures typically are in the high 60s, but today we got up to 77 degrees. In the northern part of the country, though, not quite as warm. In Fargo, we have only 4 degrees. In Chicago, 18. In St. Louis, 31. Back here in Phoenix tonight, we're going to cool down a little bit. We're going to have mostly cloudy skies and temperatures dip down into the 50s. Tomorrow, we're going to heat back up. Phoenix and Tucson, we're going to have temperatures in the 70s, and in the northern part of the state, temperatures in the 50s. Let's take a look at your 5-day forecast. The rest of the week is going to be in the 70s. For Cronkite weather, I'm Elle Johns.
They come to Washington, go to a fancy hotel, get a presidential pardon, then head to a life of ease in Virginia's horse country. Inside the Beltway Fat Cats? No, fat birds, actually. Reporter Brittany Bade shows us where the pardoned White House turkeys live out their days.
A night in a swanky Washington, D.C. hotel and FaceTime with the president.
A little bit more privileged, I would say. These guys have had nothing but the best the whole time.
A decades-old tradition. The two best turkeys,
the best tempered ones, the best feathered, best color,
are pardoned by the president and spared from becoming part of the White House's Thanksgiving dinner.
About a year and a half ago, we started wondering what happens to the White House turkeys after they're pardoned.
So after the turkeys are pardoned, they come here to Morven Park and live out the rest of their days.
Well, they live up on a hill overlooking the 1,000 acres. It's a beautiful view from up here.
The pardoned turkeys live a comfortable life on Turkey Hill.
They're a little bit spoiled.
But that spoiling may not be enjoyed for very long.
They're bred and raised to live for 120 days.
Out of all the turkeys pardoned in the past, only one from last year is still living.
We still have Caramel here today, still doing great.
This year's pardoned turkeys will be arriving soon.
Already planning over the Thanksgiving holidays to be checking on them every couple of hours.
To make sure they're ready for their big homecoming party this week.
That'll kind of be their big debut up at the mansion.
Their farm debut is expected to draw in hundreds. Those who want to see the birds that got away. In Leesburg, Virginia, Brittany Bade, Cronkite News.
Here's what's coming up next on Cronkite News. The Pac-12 championship game is here. The stage is set for the Oregon Ducks to continue their streak into college football playoffs. But the upset-minded Arizona Wildcats have other plans. And one dirt field spanning 35 acres provides endless entertainment to bikers, and it's all at no cost to you. We show you a new BMX track and other trails it provides for those who like to stay on the ground.
How do we educate in a rapidly changing world?
How can we create a sustainable way of life?
How can we teach peace?
Arizona State University. Rise to the challenges before us.
Welcome back. College football is coming to a close, but the climax of the season is finally here. The Pac-12 South has a victor, and the stage is set for the championship game. Sam Rabati joins us now from our LA bureau with a look around Pac-12 sports. Sam?
Thanks, Megan. They call the race a minefield all season, but after a heated Territorial Cup and some help from the Stanford Cardinal, the Arizona Wildcats are this year's Pac-12 South champion. It has been 4 months now, and it has finally come down to Oregon versus Arizona for the Pac-12 title game. Here's what's on the line. A second win over Oregon this season could propel the Wildcats into the college football playoff, probably as a 4th seed. But an Arizona loss likely places them in a top-tier bowl game like a Fiesta or Cotton against a heavy-hitting Big Ten team like Ohio State, Michigan State, or Wisconsin. The Pac-12 championship game will be held this Friday, December 5th at 7 p.m. and it will be at a neutral field, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California, the new home of the San Francisco 49ers. If you're trying to tune in on TV, be sure to check Fox to watch all the action unfold. As for Arizona State, their goal of making it to Santa Clara might just come true, but not for the reason they had hoped for. Instead of competing in a Pac-12 title game, they're staring the Foster Farms Bowl game against a mid-level Big Ten team. If you're looking for a quarterback controversy, there is none. After Friday's loss to Arizona, head coach Todd Graham said, quote, "Taylor will be our quarterback," referencing Taylor Kelly, who was benched in place of Mike Bercovici. in Friday's loss. Live from Los Angeles, Sam Rabati, Cronkite News.
Well, thank you, Sam. And now tons of people are racing over to a park that recently opened in Mesa. And as Colton Krolick reports, once they get there, they continue to speed.
Challenging. Keeps you on your toes.
When the word park comes to mind, most would think that it would have more grass.
It's our first park that we've ever opened that doesn't have a single blade of grass planted in it.
Desert Trails Park utilized the already existing terrain to build BMX bike trails. Riders like Dylan Thorman couldn't believe it.
When I saw the construction going in here, I thought we were going to get some rich neighborhood on the hill, and ended up building a bike park.
There are 3 different downhill trails, each for different skill levels, as well as a regular bike trail around the mountain.
You can step up when you're ready. It's cool because you got all kinds of ages out here, young, old. I actually got a couple little 14-year-old kids I know that tear it up better than I do.
Since bikers consider riding a sport for everyone, everybody seems to have a different reason why they love it.
If I'm not pushing my body to the limits, I'm not really having fun.
There's nothing that's going to stop you from doing it for a really long time. And it's really good for you. I mean, in terms of you get your cardio, you work out your legs a lot.
It's called a mountain board, and I'm just more comfortable on boards than I am on 2 wheels. Didn't learn how to ride a bike till I was 11, so, you know, just kind of sticking to my board.
Regardless of why, people are flocking to the trails. One reason could be because it's free.
I literally called my buddy up last weekend and invited him to come out here, and first thing he asked me was, how much is it? And I told him free, and he's like, dude, I'm there.
The park is 35 acres large and also has hiking trails if you'd rather explore on 2 feet instead of 2 wheels. In Mesa, Colton Krolick, Cronkite News.
Let's head back to Lacey for a look at what's ahead on Cronkite News.
You want to look over your restrictions again. Before you head out, we'll break down what changes you will find for Arizona dove hunters.
These extraordinary Americans all share one thing in common, a past they never knew until now.
It's incredible.
In his new season on PBS, Henry Louis Gates Jr. helps them uncover the truth about where they come from.
I can't believe that these documents even exist.
Wow. Get to know them as they discover who they really are.
That's pretty amazing.
Finding Your Roots with Henry Louis Gates Jr. starts Tuesday, September 23rd at 8, 7 Central, only on PBS.
The eagle and condor face many dangers, but as Elle Johns reports, one of their biggest hurdles can be easily avoided.
Eagles and condors are on the endangered species list. Yet, at the end of the hunting season, there are eagle and condor injuries at the hands of hunters, even though they're protected.
There is no season for hawks or owls or eagles or condors.
A small number of birds are actually hit by bullets, but the bigger problem is lead bullets poisoning the birds.
They're hanging on by the skin of their teeth, but said lead is the real culprit in keeping the population down.
These birds are scavengers and will eat anything a hunter leaves behind. Often, that includes the bullets and dead animals.
Condors and bald eagles and golden eagles are not above a free meal. They'll come down and eat what's left, and they'll ingest those little fragments, and then they get stuck in their crop, and then the lead leaches into their blood, and then they have serious problems.
Hunters often complain that non-lead bullets are more costly, so Arizona Game and Fish gives them away for free.
They get to use it, they get used to it, they understand that it's really effective at knocking down game, and so they would go out and buy it on their own, and many do after they've tried it through this program.
These birds are important to keep the food chain in balance. They are pest control, eating mice and rodents.
Keep the environment clean. They're nature's little garbage truck.
Hopefully, with more hunter awareness, lead bullets will become extinct, and these birds will continue to soar. In Phoenix, Elle Johns, Cronkite News.
If you find a bird that seems to be injured, you shouldn't approach the animal, but rather call Liberty Wildlife Organization immediately, and they will send someone out to help. Not all birds are protected during hunting season, though. As Angeli Meehan reports, not only is dove hunting legal, it's encouraged.
It's a group activity that requires an early wake-up call. 12-year-old Hunter Lopez is just south of the Gila River near Buckeye in the early morning hours, armed and aware of what makes this dove hunting season different from last.
The limit on these is 10, and the regular morning doves are 15.
Hunters can bag up more mourning doves this year. However, that change hasn't attracted more interest in the juniors-only dove hunt.
The number of doves that you can bag went up to 15 this year, but the number of junior participants has gone down here at Robbins Butte.
Youth Outdoors Unlimited co-founder Dwayne Tabbitt has noticed the difference.
We had less hunters this year than last year, too.
Despite the lower turnout, Arizona Game and Fish small game biologist Jonathan Odell sees the 100-year-old tradition continuing.
You chit-chat while you're hunting, birds will come by and you get a chance to take a few and then go right back into, poking your friend because, hey, he didn't shoot as good as you or whatnot.
Arizona Game and Fish also attaches individually numbered bands on birds to help estimate the dove population in the nation. Hunters that harvest these birds report the banded birds to the service, which then compares these numbers to the total amount of birds harvested. Hunting with his family since he was 4, Hunter enjoys preparing dove recipes each year.
We're trying something new where it's like we put it in I think it's jalapeno, put it in cream cheese and then wrap it up with bacon.
Hunter only bagged 1 bird on this day, but he has more chances. Near Buckeye, Angela Meehan, Cronkite News.
Dove hunters will have a chance to harvest more birds this year. Late dove season will continue through January 4th. That's it for Cronkite News tonight.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great night. Jalapenos and bacon.
Find top Arizona stories anytime at CronkiteNewsOnline.com.